Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 22 career mode, and today we are here for the 12th and 13th rounds of our Moto3 season at the Kimmy Ring and Silverstone. Now I was actually quite surprised to see that Silverstone was one of the races of this episode. I thought that wasn't until the next one, but this time Red Bull Ring and Silverstone are the other way around, so that's always nice to see. But we'll advance forward to the Kimmy Ring, a circuit that is going to be quite tough. It's not a track that I know that well. I should know it because this is the third year that's now been in the MotoGP game. But I've always struggled there. Every single race I've ever done there. I think I might have won once in one of the races. Won in Moto3, I think in MotoGP 20. But I don't believe I won there in 21 in either of the two races I did. So yeah, it is a bit more of a tricky circuit. One where I'm definitely going to have to follow the AI. But we picked up one track pretty well earlier this season, Mandalika. So I guess we'll see how we pick up the Kimmy Ring. So without any further ado then, I'll head into the weekend. And I'll see you after practice. So then, at the end of practice, you can see that I'm actually top of the session, which is a bit of a shock, because, like I was saying before, Kimmy Ring's not particularly a track I've got on with too much. But this time, I seem to have gelled with it pretty well. I think, to be honest, the Moto3 bikes are actually quite good around here. I think, even though I said I didn't win in MotoGP 21, I think I was still somewhat competitive. The Moto3 bikes definitely work around here. It's once you get to the bigger bikes, it's a little bit clunky. It's a bit of a tight little track that I'm not a big fan of, but I was top of the timesheets by quite a way here. You can see 1.4 seconds. Again, nothing's been changed with the AI, so it does seem like this potentially could be a track where the AI are quite weak. However, you can see that Josh Watley's actually in second place, so there might be a bit of issues there with the AI performance themselves. Perhaps the top AI haven't done the top times they're capable of yet, but you can see they're quite a way off. I mean, if you look at the riders we're generally battling, Masia, Mino, they're like nearly 2 seconds behind, whereas the closest AI are actually Watley and Holgado, who don't tend to be up there too much, so it's a little bit weird. But that should be good enough to get us through to qualifying too, so we'll head into qualifying now, and it looks like we're probably going to be on pole position. So then, here we are in qualifying 2, and you can see it has been a very, very strange weekend, because coming through Q1, you've got Dennis Foggia, Sergio Garcia, Diogo Moreira, and Carlos Tatai. Moreira and Tatai, to be fair, are not too unusual, although Tatai has been pretty good this season, same with Artigas, so both the CF Motos have been pretty competitive, but Foggia and Garcia being in Q1, that is a bit of a shock to the system. So I think the issue is their simulated times, because I had to simulate through FP3 because I forgot to skip straight to Q2. I mean, it would do the same thing anyway, but I actually got to see their purely simulated times without me ever going on track, and they were slower. So it seems like the simulated times at this track are a bit slower, which is really weird, because sometimes they're seconds a lap faster than they should be, sometimes they're seconds a lap slower. Really, really weird. But this does put us in a position where we're probably going to be quite competitive here. We're probably going to be able to bolt away by the looks of it, because it seems like their pace is just not there. Worth noting that I actually went on the medium tyres as well for that run, so it's not even a soft run that I've used. That soft power 3 could be another second at least, so this could be one of those weekends where we bolt away a little bit like Argentina, Le Mans, which is a shame because you just don't know what you're going to get track to track. The last few episodes, the AI have kind of been back on the pace, and that's been really, really nice to see. But it does seem like at this track they've reverted back to how they were previously, which is a shame. So like I was saying in FP1 really, I am enjoying this track a little bit more on these Moto3 bikes this year. I think in the past I've not minded it too much on the Moto3s either, but I seem to be getting a nice flow. Sector 1 as well, I've been able to nail that a couple of times, and that's been worth a lot of time. You can see those overhead sort of, I'm not really sure what they are, like overhead sponsor boards I guess you'd call them. They're a little bit buggy. They sort of change texture once you get close to like a different MotoGP 22 logo, and it kind of like jumps from loads of small ones to a few less big ones. I've tried to give myself some space to Foggia because the AI lines are very different to the player lines here, so I just don't want to get dive bombed all the time. So my plan doesn't seem to have worked sadly, because I've actually caught right up to Foggia. I haven't really given him enough space. I'll probably make a pass on him here into this corner. Yeah, just about, but he's kind of where I wanted to put my bike, to be honest. We'll get on the inside of him here, but he'll probably just undercut me against the chicane. Yes, I couldn't cut across. So this is the problem. The AI's lines are so different to mine. They take too much speed through the corners a lot of the time, and they end up running wide. It seems to cost them quite a bit. Again, we're right on the back of Foggia. He's really in my way. Oh, what was he doing? They brake so early. I think that's where they're losing the time, to be honest. They seem to just take the wrong lines, though. They go way too tight into so many of the corners that it just makes them run so wide. Should go around the outside of him here. I think we should be okay. Should still probably be top, because we're quicker than Foggia currently, and the times are still red, you can see, to Guevara, but a 56.1 is a bit more like it. I don't think they were quite that fast in free practice, which is always good. Almost high-sided myself out that last corner. Come up towards the line then. What's this going to be? 54.3. I thought it was at the 55s in the previous session, but maybe I wasn't then. But there you go, decent lap, set down the benchmark, 1.5 seconds quicker than Fodger, and there'd still be a lot of time left on the table there, I would have thought, because we got held up a lot by Dennis. So towards the line, then we found about half a second. To be honest, it's not actually quite as much as I thought. In the first couple of sectors, I was still down on my time, but we found it in the last sector. That's obviously where we got held up probably the most by Fodger. So we're 2 seconds clear currently of the AI. I'd be very, very surprised if they improved by that much. But it is nice to see that the AI performance seems to have sorted itself out. You can see McPhee is 2nd place, Garcia's 4th, Fodger's 5th. So it seems like the proper top AI are doing the times again. And Fodger has just slipped off. So that might be a corner to watch out for in the race. That might be a corner where they particularly crash into that one. They do take a very strange line, so I'm not surprised. So then, at the end of the session, it was still good enough for pole position by 2 seconds, you can see there. So it seems like, sadly, the AI are back to being a bit slow at this circuit. It looks like it'll probably be a Le Mans-style race where we pull away, so not so fun. But we've had a couple of races where they've been quite competitive, so I'm hoping that they do up it in the race a little bit, but it does seem like they're back to their old form, sadly. So then we're down here on the grid, looking at Xavi Artigas in 3rd position. Once again, he's properly on it. He seems to be one of the better AI in this game. Now, something I have seen banded around online a few times is that the AI performances are just completely random. It's so weird, like which riders are at the front. It just seems like the most random people. And I've got to say I agree. You've got some of the riders you'd expect to see at the front, but a lot of the time, it's really not. It's just the most, like, random people that are not really ever there. It's like we had Josh Watley, like, the top AI in FP2, so, you know, it's a little bit weird. Hopefully they'll patch that, but supposedly that was supposed to be fixed in this update, as they were supposed to have adjusted the AI performance to match the real life. Doesn't look like they've done that, honestly, so it's a little bit weird. But either way, it doesn't really matter to me who I'm battling. I want to try and win the races. We do need to try and build out some more points to McPhee and Mino. But without any further ado then, we'll head into this race and let's hope it's a good race, but I just feel like I'm going to check out.
There's only a few moments left until the start of the Finnish Grand Prix. Riders have their eyes fixed on the lights and are ready for the off.
So then here we are on pole position, McPhee alongside, so my closest championship rival in 2nd place on the grid. The 2 Brits going for the World Championship, waiting for the lights to go here then at the Kimmy Ring. Lights out and away we go. Have we got a good launch off the line? It does seem like it. Seems like almost as if the AI got teleported backwards there. That's how far they seemed behind. That's so weird because we'd only just got off the line, but they seem miles behind. But turn 1's been done pretty well. Artigas up to 2nd place. Now this is why I've got to watch out because they will dive bomb up the inside into this right-hander. So I'm going to have to take a slightly compromised line to what I would have wanted to, just to make sure that doesn't happen. But it looks like we've already got 7/10 of a second over the AI, 8/10 of a second, 9/10 of a second. It's a bit of sector, and we've already got a second over them, which is absolutely ridiculous. They should gain a little bit of time back on this straight, because of course they are very, very fast on the straights, but I think that could be it already. They might have already lost a slipstream there. Oh, there's been a crash behind. Not sure who that is. Don't think it's anybody in the top 8. But speaking of top 8, where is Mino? He's not in the top 8. Neither of the 2 Leopards. So once again, it does seem like the AI are a little bit jumbled, but we've got almost 2 seconds already. Not even at the end of the first lap, so yeah, I think we are going to check out on this one, sadly. So end of the first lap then, 2.6 seconds. That's absolutely ridiculous. So 4.5 seconds at the end of that lap. And you can see 2:54s already. This does seem like one of those tracks where actually you could do the fastest lap on the very first lap, just because of where the start line actually is, compared to the finish line. Because you can see, even on lap 1, I'm only a couple tenths off my lap 2 times. So if you actually did a really good first lap, you could set fast lap of the race. But yeah, we're already almost 5 seconds up the road. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we're about to start the final lap of the race. You can see we're only about 6 seconds in front now. I've knocked the pace off massively on the last couple of laps. There's no point pushing too much, because what's the point in crashing and ending up losing? Although I have got the bike retriever off, so I probably would get back on in front of them anyway. But even still, John McPhee still in 2nd place, so he's managed to hold off Garcia for most of the race. There's been a bit of fighting back there. I think he might have potentially lost position to Garcia maybe once, but nothing major. We picked up a track limits warning. Oh, McPhee's now down. So just as I was talking about that, McPhee's down, Artigas down, and Guevara's down as well. So that's going to be 25 points to us in the championship. That's unbelievable. I'd assume Mino's crashed there, because Mino's still not in the top 8 yet either. So Mino's probably been down as well. If you look at the map, there's quite a lot of AI that have crashed because of how far they are behind. So yeah, it's a shame. Not only are they slow at this circuit, they're also crashing for no reason, which just completely ruins it. And all that, Fodger's up to 3rd as well now. So Fodger's actually finally having a good race. But now I've said that, he'll probably end up crashing with a couple of corners to go or something. But yeah, Dennis Fodger finally seems to have a little bit of luck there. You can see how far I'm off the pace now that I know that I've already won the race. 6 seconds. Not going to lose 6 seconds in the last couple of sectors, but 1.6 off my best time. Absolutely cruising it round. No point pushing, especially since my championship rival's now down as well. Mario Aggi in 7th place. So what a mix-up race this has been. This must be a bit like a Portimao race where so many of the AI have fallen off. It's just I think they were the first ones to actually fall out of the top group. But here we go then, through the final turn, up towards the line, yet another victory in this career mode, and 25 points gained on John McPhee. So then we won by 6.2 seconds in the end ahead of Sergio Garcia in second place. Guevara actually ended up in third place, but didn't he just crash on the final lap? I'm sure I said his name as one of the people that crashed. Perhaps I've misread that, perhaps he was overtaking somebody that had crashed, because there's no way he would only then be 2 seconds behind Garcia after a crash. Garcia certainly didn't crash at any point in that race. You can see Josh Watley ended up in 5th place, so Josh Watley having a great weekend. For some reason, his AI is unbelievable in this game. I'm not sure what it is. Sometimes he just turns up and has a fantastic weekend, but 5th place for him, that's pretty good. Mino did actually score points, but being 9 seconds behind, he potentially did crash. I'll tell you what, actually, it was shuffled up at the end, because Mario Aggi was 7th when I was about to cross the line, and he's ended up in 11th place. Look how close they all are, though. What a weird race this has been. Absolutely mental. Let's see where John McPhee is. John McPhee 27th, so the actual last person to finish because Artigas, Carrasco, Fallon, Yamanaka all retiring. So then that will have done some massive damage in the championship, so let's have a look, see what the gap's looking like now. 53 points is the lead ahead of John McPhee, 55 to Andrea Mino. Ortola now moves up to 4th place in the championship, 104 points behind. Holgado, 106 points back. Tatsuki Suzuki, 108 points back. So for 4th, 5th and 6th, it is pretty close. You can see obviously Suzuki's lost a couple of positions there. But at the top, it is starting to extend. There's actually quite close between 2nd and 3rd. Mino and McPhee, very close, only 2 points at it there. But it does look like now we are starting to run away with it again. But we did think that once before, and we saw what happened there. They managed to bring it back down quite a lot. And in the Teams Championship, once again, managing to extend our lead even further. Now 27 points clear of the Snipers team in 2nd. 54 points clear of both Max Racing and IO, so they're tied on points. Leopard down in 5th, 83 points back. So with that weekend done then, we'll head into the Career Hub now, do everything we need to do between this and the next race, and then head into Silverstone. So then, from that weekend we gained 5,200 reputation, which takes us up to 57,100. And on the credits front, once again we gained 6,110 credits, which takes us up to 116,670, so we're doing pretty well on the credits there. And on the research front then, what a good weekend it was. I managed to pass all the objectives by complete accident. I did a few laps in free practice just to make sure I got through to Q2, and that was enough to pass all the free practice ones, and then in the race I absolutely bolted away, so I did best sector time. So we've now got a lot of research data, 1,289 on the engine and 615 on the frame. That should allow me to put on that big engine upgrade to give us a bit more straight line speed, although at this point I'm not sure whether I want it. But we have seen that AI do turn up at some races, so we do need that straight line speed because sometimes they are pretty rapid, to be fair, but a lot of the time it just seems like they're off the pace. It's so weird, you never know what AI you're going to get, sadly, but the Kimmy Ring, it was definitely the slow AI that turned up. If we have a look at the contract management then, here we've got a proposal received. Is that from, that's from Parts Europe, trying to sign us for the rest of this season. Well, maybe for next season. Yeah, it says next season, so definitely not going to sign for that, but I'm sure that's something that never used to happen in MotoGP 21 or GP20. I don't think the teams ever used to really approach you unless it was a team you're already with. So that's rather interesting. It's like a new feature where the other teams approach you first. That'll be interesting to see if that happens. I'm sure it was the case in some of the older games, but I'm sure for the last couple of years they haven't approached you, only your current team has ever approached you and you have to approach everybody else. But either way then, that's all the notifications dealt with, so we're going to have to advance forward a few weeks to the British Grand Prix. There probably will be some stuff in between, then we can get into my home race. So the frame upgrade has completed now, apparently, and that's it. The frame is now fully upgraded. We can put, well actually we can't put one more upgrade on because we haven't got enough, but we could put on another upgrade, but it's only picking between these two. You can't have both on at the same time, so it's always, I always think it's a bit pointless, and it always kind of annoys me when it says you haven't completed the development 100%, because you can only have one or the other on anyway, so you pick which one you want. It's not like you just buy both and then just decide. Perhaps you could buy both and then change it race to race, because you can change it on the fly, but it just seems like a bit of a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. You just go for the better one. But we've got a lot of contract negotiations here, so we've got another proposal received. So it's actually Max Racing approaching us this time. The Husqvarna wants to sign us for the next season, so we're getting a lot of proposals received here, but it is currently from Moto3 teams, which of course we don't want. We want to go up into Moto2 for the next one, so I might refuse these just to get them. Actually, does it give me the option to refuse them? Yeah, it looked like it was greyed out there, so we're going to refuse these proposals because we don't want to sign with these teams. But we have also got some more teams being interested, so Flexbox HB40, Italtrans and Mandalika SAG are now interested, so it's only really the top teams in Moto2 that don't want us. There you go, then a few more Moto2 teams interested, and then I take some of the fake teams are interested as well. Yeah, Oakley Team Moto2, Parts Europe GP and Kenwood Racing. So yeah, just a few Boscos Euro teams there becoming interested, which is quite interesting. But for now, obviously we're not going to do anything because we're not going to sign till the end of the season, and I'm sure more teams will be interested in us by then. And then we've also got a notification here on the technical staff, so a new technical staff is applying, so it's a new chief engineer, Paul Jefferson. Very good on the engine, actually. Pretty decent on aero and electronics, obviously those don't matter for this class, but to be honest, if we're looking to hire somebody, it is going to be for Moto 2 at the minute. But we only have 115,000 credits total, and he costs 48,000 a year, 46,000 a year, sorry. So that's a bit of a hard pill to swallow, and I also think as well, actually I get this mixed up every year, because in real life in Moto 2 you should not be able to touch the engines at all, but I think you can upgrade the engine in the game, so I think that is something worth noting. A little bit unrealistic, they probably should have changed that by now, but I think you can upgrade the engine in Moto 2, so we'll leave him there for now, but we won't hire him. We'll wait to see if we get anybody better. So then we've advanced to the weekend now, and there's been no more notifications, so without any further ado, we'll head into the British Grand Prix, and I'll see you after practice. So then, at the end of free practice, I actually was top of the timesheets once again, but this time I did have to use soft Power 3. They are looking very, very strong at this circuit, which is kind of what I expected, because the AI do tend to go fairly well around Silverstone. And to be honest, a lot of the high-speed corners, they're carrying so much more speed than me just by having that extra advantage. Even though the bike is almost max now, they do have quite a big advantage still on the power front. So through a lot of the corners, they're virtually pushing me through when they're following me around. It's quite crazy. But Power Mode 3, once again, nullifying that. And that allows me to go top of the timesheets. It was softs as well, so I should have had a bit of an advantage through the corners. So I'm hoping that time is good enough to go through to Q2. But you do know what they are like, so they do find a massive amount of time between sessions. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but you never know, we might get knocked out here. But it should be a good battle for qualifying, because they are very, very pacey this weekend. So if they find a couple of attempts going into qualifying, this is going to be close. So then the time was actually still good enough to be top going into Q2, so that is good. We've gone straight through into qualifying 2. Does seem like a bit more of a normal lineup you can see this weekend, unlike in the last race in Finland where there was a few anomalies through the qualifying sessions. So coming to Q1 then you've got Onshu, Sasaki, Toba and Artigas. So pretty much the people you'd expect. Artigas might be a bit of a shock, but he's in Q2, so I'm sure he'll be up there as he always is. So I do know that soft actually does work around here. This is probably the closest it's come to not working though, to be completely honest. It did start to get pretty hot, especially the front tyre was pretty hot by the end of the lap. It still supplied enough grip, so that's fine, but that's kind of what you expect. A bit of a longer track, a track with high speed corners where you're putting a lot of stress through those tyres and a few hard braking zones as well. Yeah, you kind of do expect other tyres, so the tyres do still work, which is always nice to see, but it is a little bit more difficult to keep them in the window than at other ones. I got a comment as well on how unrealistic it is right now. Look how bright and sunny it is. This is not Britain. Although actually as I record this, it is actually a really nice day here. I think it's like about 19 degrees, which, you know, some of you probably will laugh at because that's probably nothing where you're from. But for here, that's a pretty nice day, really. Decent weather. Either way, enough about the weather. We've got to try and get a pole position. And we've got Garcia in front of us. He could be a good marker, so I'm going to try and keep up with him. But, I mean, gapped me quite a bit already. And the AI, like I was saying, they are very fast this weekend. Do not be fooled by the fact I topped free practice. It was a push lap. It was only just top as well, so yeah, they are looking pretty quick. So we're about to start our qualifying lap then. Garcia is up the road, but he's far enough away where he shouldn't get in my way, but he should actually serve as a pretty nice reference, so it's really nice to actually have that with Garcia in front. I'm actually quite surprised how much I've caught up to Garcia on this lap, to be honest, but it's actually great because he hasn't got in my way at all. He should serve as a decent slipstream up towards the line as well. A little bit far back, but we should still get a bit of a benefit. And somebody I didn't notice was actually in this qualifying session is my teammate Bertelli, but up towards the line, and 11-1! 11-1, that's only a second quicker than I went in the previous session. That's unbelievable. I did a 12-0 in the previous session, I'm sure of it. Whoa. Well, Garcia was on a lap as well then, so that's really pulled me around, so what? You can actually tell the shock in my voice with that. I did not expect to see an 11. I thought maybe an 11-9 because I could see that the other riders were on 12s and I was still on red sectors, but wow. Wow. That is so much better than I went in practice. I gotta say, that was purely down to having that marker. The marker is so important in the game, just like in real life. To have a marker, it just makes things so much easier. But yeah, like I was just saying briefly before I got surprised about that, my teammate Bertelli is actually in this session, and it's worth noting that we do have the Beat QJ Motor Riders objective again, so it does seem like when you actually have that objective, it does actually boost the riders with that bike, which is interesting. If you went with a team that the game actually considers to have a KTM bike, or a Honda bike, you're definitely going to have a bit more of a difficult weekend, because a lot of the riders are on those bikes, and it's definitely going to boost them. But honestly, I'm really satisfied with that lap time, so I'm more than happy to head back to the pits and end off my session, because I don't think I'm going to be beating an 11-1, that's for sure. So unsurprisingly then, at the end of the session, it was still good enough for pole position, nearly a second clear, but once again, don't be fooled by that. We've seen that AI have got good pace. I really used Garcia to affect that. I don't know how I caught him up so much, because around halfway through the lap, I wasn't really that close to him. I guess it must have just been my back end of the lap was really good, but honestly, it was so helpful to have that reference, just to watch where he was. I could brake where he braked, or just a fraction later. I think that helped because he's one of the fastest AI you can see there. He's 3rd place, so I basically took the AI's, what was at the time pole time, and just improved on it by being able to close up to them. So that's unbelievable. I'm super, super happy with that. I definitely won't be doing any 11s in the race, however, so the race is going to be a lot closer. The AI, like I said, are looking super aggressive. They're looking really fast through some of the high-speed corners. I'm expecting a bit more of a Kymiring style race where they just ram it up my inside for no reason, try and push me out the way a bit like Fodger did. So I'm expecting a bit more of a dirty race in this one, so hopefully it is a good one for you guys. But pole position, once again, let's get into it then, and I'm hoping it's a good scrap. So here we are then, down the grid, looking at Sergio Garcia, and I've got to say, every time you come into these races, the voiceover, obviously Gavin Emmett, they always say about the tyres, and every single time they always say medium, medium, so it's almost pointless. So it is going to be medium, medium for this race. I think the race will be 4 laps based on track length, so it'll be a bit similar to Austin again, and obviously Mandalika. Still, all these weeks later, still really confused about that, but yeah, it doesn't matter too much. I'm hoping this will be a good race. I want to win this one because it's a British Grand Prix. John McPhee will want to win this one because it's a British Grand Prix. Mino just want to win to get some points back, and everybody else is just going to want to win because it's a race win. So everybody has reasons to win here. This could be a proper good scrap, or it might be a bit of a dirty race, potentially the AI bashing me out the way a little bit, but we'll see how it goes.
The riders have been greeted by a fantastic atmosphere here at Silverstone. They're all lined up for the start, ready for some British Grand Prix action.
I am ready for some British Grand Prix action. We got Mino alongside of Sergio Garcia. Garcia who towed us around to that pole position to great effect. Waiting for the lights to go here then at Silverstone. Lights out and away we go. And again, it seems like they have got a bad start, but I actually analysed it in the replay last time, and it's because they brake when the lights go out. I have no idea why, but they lurch forward, get a decent run, and just brake. Makes no sense. They're through the first corner, they've had a hell of a run. Mino's on his way. Mino's probably going to get past me into Maggots. Not quite, so we've kept the lead for now. The rear stepped out a little bit there, we're a little bit wide. Mino's around the outside. Mino's taken the lead, so we're down to 2nd place. So we've lost the lead of the race already, which is kind of what I expected. I don't think I've really had the pace of the AI over race distance. We might want to use a bit of slipstream, bit of aggression, bit of power mode 3 potentially, just to stay in the fight. But look at Garcia's already pushing me along, and that's helped me out so much. We've got such a good run on Mino. We'd go flying past him, didn't even have to use power mode 3, just used the power of Sergio Garcia and a little bit of slipstream to do it. And into Stowe, we retake the lead once again. Is Mino going to be back up the inside? He had a look. We've got the lead for now. Memories back to this corner in Moto 2 of last year's career, but I took out Sam Lowe, so I've got to be very, very careful. But fortunately on this occasion, I wasn't having to make a pass. I was keeping the lead. Now the AI is super good through this corner as well. They take a much wider entry, which is probably something I should try and adopt, but I just cannot turn the bike well enough to go that wide. You can see Mino already having a bit of contact with us as we go towards Abbey. Is he going to try and hang it around the outside? No, he's not. So we've kept the lead once again. Again, just trying to use a bit of bravery, a bit of aggression. But the AI through these high-speed sections have so much pace. They have so much pace. This track, their lines do genuinely seem a little bit better than mine. But also the fact that they can just turn tighter makes it a lot easier. So they can sort of run out wide and then actually still make the apex and carry the speed the whole way through. Whereas I have to take a tighter line to even make the corner without having to lift off even more. So it's a little bit weird. But we've got a pretty... I was going to say pretty healthy, but it's 0.2 of a second and it's pretty much gone already. Mino's probably going to make an attack into Brooklands corner if we're not careful. Brake as late as we can. So we've kept the lead for now. Looks like we've probably got the lead then for this lap because again, it seems like on the brakes they are pretty weak. So into a lot of the passing opportunities, really, we're going to have a bit of an advantage. It's just the high-speed stuff where they're going to try and stick it up the inside. They're going to get a good run through here, though. Through Woodcut, up towards the line. Well, we've led the first lap of the race. We did lose the lead a couple of times briefly. We've got the lead back. And from pole, we've led that very first lap, so the British fans will be very happy to see that. But I think Mino's going to come straight back at me through turn 1, because I've not done the best line through turn 1. You can see the gap is decreasing once again, just like it did on the opening lap. Can Mino make the pass? Not yet. Got to try and go a bit tighter through turn 3, and I've not really done that. We're very tight through Beckett's. The rear stepped out a little bit. Mino comes through. Once again, we're down to 2nd position. Now 3rd place, now 4th place. Have to pick up the bike a little bit because more AI came up the inside. Fodger has been absolutely nerfed out the way there by Mino. And we've got a slipstream on Mino, but Garcia has a little break over Mino. Will Mino be able to use the slipstream to get back in front of him? He closed up to him a lot, but not enough to actually make a pass. So Garcia, he might be able to use a little bit of pace here. Same with Mino, actually, if I can't get back in front of him. Might be able to use a little bit of pace and get away, but Mino doesn't seem to be allowing that to happen just yet. I think this is the sector where the player has the advantage. Oh, we've just bashed Mino. Mino lifts his hand up to say, what are you doing there? And to be fair, I can't really blame the guy. That was a bit of a misjudgment. I thought there was going to be a bigger gap than there was. But I've now got a good run on Garcia, and I know they break super early for Brooklyn, so I should be able to take the lead here on Garcia. Yes, I do, up the inside, back into the lead of the British Grand Prix once again. So it is a good scrap so far. Garcia tries to re-attack. I'm trying to hold a tight line through Luffield. He's going to leave me out of the way anyways. Fair play to Garcia, that was a clean move, so Garcia retakes the lead once again. And he's pulling away a bit on the straight as well. Here comes Mino. Mino's trying to go around the outside of Woodcote, a bit like Alex Rins a couple of years ago. And here comes Dennis Fodger as well. Everyone's trying to get involved now. I'm just the cork in the bottle really here on the straights. Get through some of the final sector. I am a bit more on the AI's pace again. Oh, here goes Fodger. He's trying to leave me out the way and he's going around the outside. Well, that was never going to work, Dennis. He sort of leant across the front of me, but the collision boxes are a little bit weird in this game and it kind of picked him up. I would have let him sort of lean on me a bit more, but the game obviously wasn't having any of it. But Garcia is 6/10 up the road. And here comes Fodger once again with that layup pod flying past. So the AI is so fast on the straights. That's their only advantage you can see, really. It's just they're carrying so much speed just because they've got more power. I've clipped that inside curve. Bit of a mistake from me, and we're now down to 3rd place. But honestly, it looks like Garcia's got this. Oh, it's a crash. Mino's down. Mino's just crashed. So I don't think he had contact with anyone. I think he just took too much speed in, trying to catch me up and hit the curb, and has fallen off. Well, to be honest now, I can more than happily take 3rd place because McPhee's down in 8th place. Mino, my other closest rival, is now out of the race again. So to be honest, I may as well just sit where I am because I've got a decent gap over Suzuki. Just want to try and stick on the back of these and help them let them pull me along a little bit. But Fodger's looking mighty aggressive once again, just like in Saxon. I'm sure he just hits Garcia out the way a little bit there. That's kind of brought me back into contention. So really, this is anybody's fight on this last lap. We're starting the last lap of the race then. Dennis Fodger looks like he's ready to make a pass on Garcia going into the first corner. Fodger's done it. Fodger's round the outside. He sweeps round the outside of Garcia, so Fodger takes the lead. So I thought Garcia had got this 1-1, but it seems like that's not quite the case. I don't think Fodger's won a race all season yet then, so this could be Fodger's very first victory of the season if he plays his cards right. I'm a bit too far behind. I'm going to use a little bit of Power Mode 3. I was trying not to use it to make it a bit more fair, but we'll try and use a little bit just to try and get in this fight for the victory. But Garcia's not done with yet. Garcia's going back for it. And Garcia's got the move complete. He's past Fodger, so Garcia retakes the lead once again. Fodger goes for it to Abbey. Fodger takes the lead. Once again, they are really scrapping. They're costing each other a lot of time. This is the problem. Me and Artigas are on our way, because Artigas is all over the back of me now. I need a couple tenths behind. But this is the section... Well, oh, Fodger's down! Fodger's crashed! Fodger's bottled it once again! Fodger, finally in a position to win a race, bottles it out the lead, loses the front. No contact at all there, I don't think. He just crashed, and here we go. We've got a run on Sergio Garcia all of a sudden. We're now in contention for this victory once again. And I think Artigas also crashed at that corner. But here we go then, up the inside of Sergio Garcia. And all of a sudden, it looked like I was just going to sit there and watch them scrap away. We've now taken the lead of the race, but I know he's going to come back on the inside. He does. He pushes me. Garcia's aggressive. We know Garcia's aggressive. He always is in real life and in the game. And Garcia seems to have got this one done. I'm going to use a bit of Power Mode 3. He tries to use up all the road, but Garcia, the man who towed us the pole position, is just going to steal victory from us at the death. But here we go. Are we going to do a Rins or towards the line? Not quite. What a race that was. 2nd place. Fair play to Garcia. I honestly can't believe it. Dennis Fodger, once again, he's finally in a position to win the race. His layup was looking fast on the straights. That's something that seemed to be pretty accurate to real life. He was looking good. Garcia did fight him back. Fodger had got the lead back, and Fodger just bottles it, loses the front end. And that was it. That's all she wrote. But look at the lap times in this race. I got fastest lap of the race at 2:11.8. So we were back on really, really good pace. And that was the last lap as well, where we were battling and we had a lot of tyre wear. So fair play to the AI. They were doing their qualifying times in the race. So I really can't really argue with that. That is good pace from the AI. What a race that was. That was thoroughly enjoyable. I just thought I could do it at the end there. But they were so good. Into Brooklands, I probably braked a fraction early. I just didn't want to go in wide, because if I went in wide, he was definitely going to pass me, but I broke too early, didn't carry enough corner speed, then did run wide a little bit anyway, and that just landed right at the inside, whereas if I'd just sort of carried more speed through it, and sort of swept through it, maybe still missed the apex, I probably would have been able to maybe hold on, but I knew he would have attacked a Luffield, so I really wanted to make sure I got a tight line through Brooklands to stop that, then try and flick it over for a tight line to Luffield, but fair play, Garcia did outfox me there, and I tell you what, that wasn't too dirty of a race with AI there, they were fairly fair, they did hit me a couple of times, but overall, that wasn't too bad. But looking at the championship then, what an episode this has been. We've now got 64 points ahead of John McPhee with 75 over Andrea Mino. Tatsuki Suzuki moves herself back up to 4th place in the championship, 112 points behind. A lot of these riders really falling out of contention now. Look at Yamamasa, he's 141 points behind. At one point, he was one of the closest rivals. He was up there in 4th place, only a few points behind Mino. So, what a championship season this has been. Garcia moves himself up to 7th place. That's why it didn't matter at all that Garcia beat me. I wanted to win the race, but the fact that Garcia beat me didn't really matter because he's nowhere near in the championship. No riders except McPhee and Mino are anywhere near me, and even those guys, they're miles behind now. So really, I'm just fighting to try and win the races at this point. In the team's championship then, we extend our lead even further now to 44 points ahead of Snipers, 64 ahead of Max Racing, 69 ahead of Red Bull KTM IO, and 87 ahead of Leopard. So I do want to quickly have a look at that crash for both Mino and for Dennis Foggia, because I also want to see what happened to Artigas in that incident. And then we'll head back to Career Hub and end off the episode. So on board with Mino then, he's tipping it in, he tries to close up, and yeah, he just clips the curb, and down he goes. He was obviously trying to carry a decent amount of corner speed. Oh, and he got knocked off again! Oh, that's actually... Well, he's very lucky he managed to stay on, but I was about to say, he got back on so fast. He actually, I think he might have still been in the points, you know, when he got back on the first time, because look, he's crashed. Because such a slow corner, his bike's come to a stop very quickly. Okay, maybe he wasn't in the points, because there's my teammate going on the inside of him, and one of the MTAs, and he gets clipped by, is that Morera, or is it Yamanaka? I think it's Yamanaka, and then also Josh Watley there, and Riccardo Rossi hits his crashed bike, so a bit unfortunate there for Mino, but yeah, he just, I heard him behind, I heard his engine sort of close in, and obviously he was just trying to take too much speed, a bit of a tighter line than me, and just clips the curb, and down he goes, and I imagine that's the exact same thing that Foggia then does on the next lap. So we're on board with Dennis Foggia then, down towards the village corner, and he tips it in, and yeah, he does the same thing. He tries to carry more speed. Granted, I don't think he was quite as bad. Oh, and he got knocked off again twice as well, so that seems to be a problem for the AI, getting knocked off twice, and I definitely saw Artigas was down, so Artigas must have just had the same thing as Mino and Foggia, remounted really quickly, but then just didn't get knocked off again. I do feel a little bit sorry for Foggia, because there's not a lot he did wrong. Look how much... He's not really much tighter than Sergio Garcia, which is why I didn't see it, whereas I think Mino was a lot tighter when he crashed. So really unfortunate there for Dennis Foggia, once again crashing out of what could have been a good position for him. Obviously he's out of the championship, he's been out of the championship for a long time, but I'm sure he's not won a race yet this season, which is unbelievable for someone that really should have done. But with those incidents looked at then, we'll head back to the Career Hub now then, and see what we got from this weekend. So then, from that weekend, we gained 5,000 reputation, which takes us up to 62,100 reputation. As for the credits, we didn't quite win the race, so we only got 5,710 this week, which takes me up to 121,080 credits. As for the development tests, we didn't do too bad, to be honest. Once again, I wasn't trying to get them at all, so we just picked up a few of them, which is always nice, and we beat the leading rider as well. But we have got a couple of notifications. We've actually got a new proposal received by the looks of it once again. So it's actually a Moto2 team trying to get us this time. So Oakley GP. So potentially we'll start getting some Moto2 ones now. And we also have something on the technical staff. It's data analyst applying. So we've actually got quite a few in reserve here. Worse on the engine, better on the aero, better on the electronics. Well, it's definitely not worth it to go and recheck that one because it's just a waste of time, that. There we go then, that's all the notifications sorted. So that brings this episode to a close. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that one. Some good racing there in Silverstone. Sadly, not the case in Kimmy Ring. Was a little bit boring, that race. Once again, obviously, we went to the front and just sort of checked out. But I really enjoyed Silverstone. The whole weekend was really good. Qualifying, I had to push so hard. Got that toe of Garcia. Perfect lap almost. I don't think I could go faster than that if I tried again. So 2:11.1, I was still not over that. But we did 2:11s in the race as well. So that was also really good to see. The pace was there. We had a proper good fight in the race. Some more drama with Dennis Foggia crashing out again. Obviously, in both races, we have one title rival crash as well. McPhee crashed in the Kimmy Ring, and in Silverstone, obviously, we had Mino. So, a bit of a hectic episode, lots going on. So, I hope you guys did enjoy that one. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you're staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.